Hey everyone, it's Dr. Ramani. Welcome back to this YouTube channel on narcissism. Today's video is in response to somebody asking a very specific question that they mailed in, which gets at this question of what if you are living with serious mental health issues or mental disorder and you're in a narcissistic relationship. Now, I have no doubt that some of you are thinking like, this got to be a difficult situation. So I want to begin this video right straight up. I don't always do this, but with this particular video, I want to begin this video with a heads up. We will have some information in the video notes too. But if somebody is experiencing or living with significant mental health symptomatology, it is absolutely crucial that you be in therapy and be receiving other mental health support. Like I said, we'll make some resources and information available in the video notes, but this video is not any kind of substitute for that. I'm really going to be focusing on this very particular issue, because this video suggestion actually came by way of a really beautiful and eloquent letter I received from somebody who watches this channel. And this was somebody who shared that they have been living with some pretty significant mental health challenges, that they've been doing the work, learned coping strategies, and has achieved some pretty amazing stuff in their lives. And then this person talked about they met a narcissist. And then that's where things this person really struggled at that point. I actually do believe that people living with serious mental health disorders or with significant mental health symptomatology may be at greater risk for not only potentially getting into a narcissistic relationship, but more likely to get stuck and even of experiencing more severe and significant narcissistic abuse. So let's take all of that apart. First of all, we are in a full-blown mental health crisis in this country and in the world at large. We simply do not have enough adequate and affordable mental health services and support for people who need it. There is still stigma about people getting mental health services, and there is often not high-quality help available in particular regions, in many regions. So that means that a significant number of people already living with the impacts of mental health, and that could include significant anxiety, depression, confusion, fear, and in some cases hallucinations, delusions, mania, as well as disruption in school, work, relationships, or other co-occurring issues like addiction. Many of these folks are simply not getting the help they need. Many people living with mental health issues have been gaslighted by institutions and systems for a really long time, and the tendency is often to assume that something going wrong in the life of someone who is living with a mental health disorder is sort of always related to the mental health issue, rather than when we see that there may be a mental health issue, but it's coming up against life and lack of support. For example, we wouldn't go hard at someone who had a medical illness and couldn't get the help for their medical illness. Somebody would be throwing a fundraising campaign for them. But when it comes to mental health, there is still far less compassion and support. The self-doubt, self-blame, loss of confidence, or at times not even feeling that a person can trust their own mind, it creates such a vulnerability for entering into a narcissistic relationship. The love bombing can be very alluring because many people living with mental health issues are already maybe devaluing themselves or are being devalued by the world. So someone who rolls up and is charming and charismatic and shiny and attentive can be alluring for any of us. However, once things tilt over into the devalue and discard place, people who are living with more severe mental health issues might even be faster to engage in self-blame, self-doubt, and in fact, anyone they are talking with about it may even tilt into wondering if the person living with the mental health disorder is the one who may be the reason for the difficulties in the relationship, rather than recognizing that it could be the narcissistic person. The narcissistic person is so skilled, so manipulative, so skilled at this whole game that the other person in a relationship with a narcissist almost always blames themselves. A person who has already been managing the cognitive and emotional challenges of mental health disorders coming against the cognitive and emotional challenges of narcissistic abuse is simply not a fair fight. And the enablers and the ignorant people in the world at large can often fan these flames, and then more self-blame. So people will get stuck. Anxiety, self-doubt, confusion can all make a person eminently gaslightable. So people don't feel empowered to leave or to set boundaries. If we know one thing about the management of more severe mental health symptomatology, it is that some things that work and that are very important include maintaining a routine, stress management, having consistency, and maintaining support. Those are 4 things that either don't exist or are taken away by a narcissistic relationship. As a result, there is a risk of not only a worsening of a person's mental health and existing mental health disorders, but also a greater risk of getting stuck. The manipulation of the relationship makes it difficult for anyone to leave. Also, the management of more severe mental health disorders often includes medication. And these medications often require pretty consistent adherence. The stress and self-devaluation that are often observed in a narcissistic relationship, as well as the lack of support, may mean that a person may not adhere to medication regimens or may get distracted, again, potentially worsening their symptomatology. I have talked about this many times on this channel, that having a narcissistic partner when you are going through any kind of health issue, that could be your medical health, mental health, needing some kind of long-term care, post-surgical healing, recently having had a baby, any of that, it is not good for your health if you're trying to do this alongside a narcissist. For many people, these health crises are the penny drop moment in a narcissistic relationship. At that time, when you recognize, and you're already sick, to recognize, like, oh gosh, this person's not going to drive me to the emergency room or take you to the doctor or run to the pharmacy or help you make dinner or empty the dishwasher or be a support consistently as you navigate mental health issues can be devastating. And then there is the fallout. We know, for example, that post-separation abuse is not an unusual part of the narcissistic abuse picture. I know that narcissistic people don't like being left, but in a significant proportion of cases, the narcissistic person leaves to pursue something new. The fallout of a narcissistic person leaving can be very destabilizing, bring up strong feelings of abandonment and loss, the tension created by the trauma bond, and set back a person who is already living with significant mental health challenges. For some people living with severe mental illness, it is all about stress management and avoidance of disruptive stress. A narcissistic relationship is the opposite of that. It is disruptive stress. And so the toll of the stress and periods of significant exacerbation of symptoms, shifts in functioning, and increases in distress will be more pronounced and more debilitating. These relationships are very unhealthy, and particularly so for somebody who has an existing mental health issue. Narcissistic people will always weaponize a person's health issues, especially their mental health issues. They will view it as a fragility that they can use to shame a person or to dominate them. They may bring up those mental health issues in an argument or lay it out as something that they're stuck having to put up with you that makes them look bad. They may compare you to other family members you have who may have their own mental health challenges, or family members who are behaving badly, and then they tell you that you're no different than them. They may taunt you and say, oh, how would you make it without my support? And tragically, in some cases, there may be a partial truth to that only practically if the narcissistic person is, for example, the one who holds the health insurance or pays for more of the household expenses. But other than that, these people and the relationships with them are the opposite of support. If you have a diagnosed and relatively severe mental health issue, the narcissistic person's words may hit hard and may even feel like they ring true, leaving you feeling that you can't fight back. The distorted belief that maybe they are right and feeling stuck and imprisoned. They are not right. This can also happen in narcissistic family systems. You may still be caught in a toxic dance with narcissistic family members from your family of origin who do not understand your mental health disorder and the needs for support, routine, and all of that you need. They may doubt you. They may ask you to do things that just aren't good for you to do. They may shame you. And this may be a continuation of existing scapegoated cycles from childhood. So, in response to the question that was mailed in to us, the short answer is that narcissistic abuse is brutal for everyone, but can be really destabilizing for a person living with moderate to severe mental health disorders. Clinical practitioners who are working with people who are living with mental health challenges should be aware and informed of the nature of any toxic relationships that are around a person and provide support and guidelines for how to manage these kinds of difficult personalities, because exposure to these relationships can result in massive setbacks for people who are living with more serious mental illness and mental health issues. So thanks again for this great question. Please keep those questions coming in. I do read them, do the research on them. This channel is really meant to be, is really here very much in your service, to be able to answer questions that oftentimes don't get talked about in the world of mental health. And again, thanks for your brave question, and thank you to all of you. Bye.